Okay, multiplying with exponents in power to power level 2. I'm going to try and talk really quick through this to try and keep the video a little bit shorter. If something doesn't make sense, I'd suggest you pause and replay. Start by writing the original problem. So in parentheses, I have 5 multiplied. You know what? I'm going to give it a power of 1. Always give something, if a base doesn't have it, give the exponent of 1. 5 to the power of 1 multiplied by 5 to the power of negative 4. Close parentheses, power of 2. These type of problems, I'm always going to work inside the parentheses first because that follows with order of operations. So 5 to the power of 1 times 5 to the power of negative 4. Same base, we add the exponents. So in parentheses, I'm going to put 5 to the power of 1, add a negative 4. Then I'm going to simplify that. And 5 to the power of 1 plus a power of negative 4, that's going to simplify as 5 to the power of negative 3. And we still have a power of 2 on the outside. Now that I've simplified inside the parentheses, I can deal with this power of a power. And with power of a power, we actually multiply them together. So base 5, exponent 3, multiplied by 2. So this is going to simplify simply to 5 to the power of negative 6, which that could be our option. We're just going to have to look at what choices we're given. So we're given 5 to the power of negative 6. So that works. Now before I go ahead and move on, I want to remind you that another option for this is they could have written the reciprocal of 5 to the power of negative 6 by moving the base to the bottom, and then that negative exponent becomes positive. But don't forget to write it as a fraction. And then sometimes they'll evaluate this exponent. So they would have you go 5 times 5 times 5 6 times and actually work it out, but it's kind of a ridiculous number. I would suggest you pause the video at this point, try and solve this on your own, and then see what my explanation is. So again, appropriate work includes writing the original problem. So 3 to the power of 2 in parentheses times 3 to the power of negative 4 inside the parentheses, with the power of 4 on the outside. As I did in the last one, I'm going to work inside out. So I'm going to put 3 to the power of 2 times 3 to the power of negative 4. Same base, we add the exponents. So I'm going to write 3 to the power of 2, add, in this case, a negative 4. And that's all inside the parentheses with the power on the outside. So 2 add a negative 4, that's going to simplify in parentheses 3 to the power of negative 2 inside the parentheses with a power of 4 on the outside. And then we have power inside and outside. We multiply those. So I'll rewrite it. 3 to the power of negative 2 multiplied by a power of 4. And that's going to simplify to 3 to the power of negative 8. And that could be a viable solution. I don't see that here. So chances are we need to go ahead and write our reciprocal. So fraction bar, 3 goes to the bottom, there's base 3, except that negative 8 exponent turns to positive 8. So it's going to be 1 over 3 to the power of 8, and we've got that one right here. And again, a third option, they could have you figure out what 3 multiplied by itself 8 times, but again, that's going to be kind of ridiculous. All right, our second type of problem when we're dealing with multiplication of exponents in power to power looks like this. And the way that we work this one out is I'm just going to deal with power of a power. I'm going to get rid of the parentheses. So still sticking with the same theme of working with the parentheses first. So the original problem is 4 to the power of 0 in parentheses with a power of negative 3 multiplied by 4 to the power of negative 2. Again, we're sticking with the idea of parentheses. We're going to get rid of this first. So power inside and power outside. We multiply the exponents. I was going to say add. We multiply those together. So I've got 4 to the power of 0 multiplied by a negative 3. And then we'll rewrite the rest of the problem times 4 to the power of negative 2. Okay, so 0 times a negative 3 is 0. So that's kind of nice. That simplifies to 0 times 4 to the power of negative 2. And now it's just 4 to the power of 0 times 4 to the power of negative 2. And when we have the same base, we add the exponents. So I'm going to write 4 to the power of 0, add, in this case, negative 2. And 0 add negative 2 is negative 2, so I would have 4 to the power of negative 2. And again, that's a viable choice for our option. I don't see that, and in fact, it looks like we've got two fractions down here, so we're probably just going to have to go ahead and write this as the reciprocal. So 4 on the bottom, and that negative 2 exponent becomes a positive 2. And I'd like to pick 1 over 4 squared, but I don't see that. It's actually this one over here. It's hidden. I just want to remind you that 1 over 4 squared is really just the same as 1 over 16, because 4 squared, well, that actually means 4 times 4. So if you remember that 4 squared is really 4 times 4, and 4 times 4 is 16, then you can clearly see how that actually is our answer. Again, I would suggest you go ahead and pause it. This one's real similar. Try and work out this question, then unpause it and see how you compare. So I'm going to start out with 4 to the power of 4 times, and then I'm going to focus on dealing with the parentheses first. So inside the parentheses, I've got 4 to the negative 2 with a power of 4. And I want to simplify the parentheses here by doing power inside and outside. So this 4 to the power of 4, I'm just going to rewrite it. And then when we have powers inside and outside, we multiply those together. So I'm going to put 4 to the power of negative 2 multiplied by 4. You could use parentheses or you can put a multiply symbol, whichever. And so right here, this 4 to the negative 2 times 4. Again, just rewrite this 4 to the power of 4. It's kind of just takes a free ride. It just keeps getting rewritten. And then 4 to the power of negative 2 times 4 gives us 4 to the power of negative 8. Now that we've simplified the parentheses to 4 to the power of negative 8, 4 to the power of 4 times 4 to the power of negative 8. When we have the same base, we're going to add the exponents. So 4 to the power of 4, add a negative 8. And 4 added negative 8 is going to give me 4 to the negative 4, which again can be a viable option, and it is. It's actually listed right here. But again, just remember, another option is they could write it with the positive exponent. 4, base 4 moves to the bottom, and then negative 4 exponent changes to a positive 4, put it on 1 on top. Or you could find out what 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 is. But in either case, there you have it. Again, watch the video again until you kind of see the nuances and the way that it goes, but that's pretty much it. Thank you for viewing.